What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining another episode of Wildlife with Ray. Let's go to the beach in California. So this was a really cool trip. Emily and I actually had been traveling from the Pacific Northwest down the coast, and when we got into the San Francisco area, we actually got to meet up with a bunch of friends. Some of them I've met before, some of them I hadn't. I know all of them because they were all either somebody that have joined me on a workshop or somebody that I've been working with for a while with my mentorship program, which is really cool. So, and then two of them I had met in person before, both in workshops and through, actually, I guess that was it, in workshops. And then the other two I had just known through the mentorship program and hadn't met. Emily had met one of them, I think one, and not the other three. So it was really cool. We all had a chance. They all live in generally the same area. And so we were able to kind of coordinate and time our travels coming through there to meet up with them, which is really cool. So we actually met up with my good friend and student and wonderful photographer. They're all amazing photographers. But we met up first that morning with our good friend, Michelle McKenzie. And she took us to one of her favorite spots, which we ended up doing a morning and an evening. So the morning shoot, we just went out with Michelle, and then the evening shoot, we met up with the entire group and got to do that. So we had a blast at the beach. Got some amazing stuff. These are like a handful of my favorite shots here, and let's jump right into it. So here's the group. Yeah, we actually met up with Caleb Friend, Kristen Olson, Michelle McKenzie, Jacques. Oh, why am I blanking on Jacques' last name? But we met up with all four of them and had a great time. So this was at kind of the end of our shoot that night. And yeah, like you get to see like the beach coastline here. And let me jump to another shot that really kind of shows off. Here we go. There's me laying down, getting some shots there towards the sunset when we did that evening shoot. And you can really see, like, this is the coastline. This is the Pacific Northwest, California, rocky, rugged coastline, rough Pacific Ocean coming in, and a lot of wave action. And for me and Emily specifically, this is something that we don't get to see a lot, don't get to photograph a lot, and is just really stunning. It really is. So I'm coming to you here from New Mexico, a little bit of a different place right now, kind of in the desert, and that coastal ocean is just incredible, especially with how dynamic it is. The Pacific Ocean compared to the East Coast, where we're used to shooting shorebirds, number one, you get the rocky stuff, like, so you get these huge rocks sticking out of the ocean right along the surf there, plus on the coastline you're on, some of it you can walk onto, some of it's kind of out in the water. And then you get the Pacific Ocean, which is just, I guess, from my experience now, the standard is just big waves, just a lot of larger waves coming in and crashing into those rocks. And these amazing birds live there. And so that means we get a lot of dynamic stuff. So when we started in the morning, this was my first outing with that 28 to 400 millimeter lens. So that's specifically why I took it. Actually, Michelle was kind enough to let me have it delivered there because it's hard to get things delivered when you live on the road. And so I picked the lens up when we met up with her from her place there and took it out for the first time. And so I really wanted to see what this lens could do. And in the morning, I was both pleased and a little like, oh, I don't know about it, because I was shooting these kinds of things. 15th of a second, f8, super low, flat light, kind of stuff. And, if I zoom in here, you can see it's sharp enough, but, even like the details and everything here aren't quite what I'm used to with the higher end lenses. And I think that's just the nature of what it's suffering from that. You can see a little bit of movement back here. That's just the oyster catcher moving its wing. So that's what that movement is from 15th of a second, And I was specifically trying these slower shutter speeds to incorporate movement. So we had beautiful colors, pastel tones at sunrise. The sun sets over the Pacific Ocean, so in the mornings you're not getting any sun out over the water, but you do get these beautiful pastel tones out there when it's clear. And so here's another one, like huge crashing wave back there, down the 10th of a second. And again, if I zoom in on this one, and I think I was shooting Z9 on this one. Okay. So I did take the Z9 out. I think I wanted to put what I feel is a little bit better camera on that lens just to see what it could do. So that way it wasn't like the Z6 III being a little bit slower with focus or anything like that. All right, so put the top end camera on the lens and check it out. It's not tack sharp again, you know, but I can just say ahead of time, if you end up not watching to the end, when you put plenty of light on this, or even a just decent amount of light, the lens is plenty sharp. Anyway, my goal with a lot of this stuff was to really show off just these big, intense crashing waves and the rocky shoreline. And then in some cases like this, just like movement in the water back there. And this was a little bit more of the scenario where if I shot at higher shutter speed, the waves back here were going to be so sharp, especially at f8, because I didn't have quite that shallow depth of field to play with, that I think they were going to be too distracting. Here's a favorite shot. Actually, I guess I got a few of them. I got this wave setup and then this wave setup. I think it's tough. You know, they're both good, but I love what is happening here. And actually, I think this is my favorite. That really shows it off. But down to 1/5 of a second with this lens, you know, and plenty sharp. Eye, bill detail, I can see the wing detail, the legs are clear. So, you know, it was doing good. But you know what the other thing that was happening, I remember now? It would miss focus. So this was a real obvious, easy one. But if, let's say there was a bird, let me see if I have any examples here. I'm not seeing any examples, but let's say here, I can show you here. Let's say I had a bird here. It would be really easy for that lens to pick up focus back here or in the rock in front or something like that, you know? So that was definitely something that was happening a little bit more. But yeah, here's the final image on that. There's one of the other ones. And yeah, just having a blast playing with these landscapes. Here's the straight out of camera on that. So that's what this looked like straight out of camera. And then you give it the edit. I went pano because there was not much happening up there. And yeah, all the swirly waves down here, just the turmoil and tension and everything like that. I just really, really like that. I think it's really fun. And as a photographer who doesn't get to spend a lot of time photographing this type of habitat, it's especially fun to play with it. It just feels like there's so much to do, you know, it really does. Back to some regular stuff, just playing with all the sea foam with these gulls. I think Harriman's gull, Heerman's gull, I'm not sure how to say that. I think that's what that species was. That was a lifer. Here's showing off like what it looks like that morning. You know, there's Emily out shooting and just playing around. I think she was working with some of the birds that were out on that particular area there. But here's the beauty of this lens. This was shot on the Z9 28mm. I could shoot something like that and then right before it shoot something like this at 400mm. So pretty cool lens. There's Michelle getting down and dirty, trying to get some low perspective stuff with I think she was playing with the gulls and some of these birds out there as well. So then we had a seal in the mix there. That was kind of cool. Started with a higher shutter speed and then went slower to try and get that standing out like that, which was really fun with the splashing waves. And yeah, it was really cool. This is one, I would love this one, but I shook this one too much. Down to 1/5 of a second. He's sharp. You can see the bird there, but he's not where I'd want him to be. And that's a thing where I feel like if I had taken the 24 to 120 out, I probably could have nailed that more. But it's also at 1/5 of a second, and I'm dealing with the potential of the bird moving, me moving. So, you know, even the best of glass, you can't always potentially get something tack sharp with that, because I'm doing all these handheld, by the way. So it does go to show the stabilization on that lens works really nicely. But yeah, this habitat is so damn fun to play with. Another black oyster catcher up in the surf there. Harbor seal moving in. Emily doing her thing out there. She was actually playing with the 100 to 400. We unfortunately saw this. I found this wounded. I think he was sick. I don't know about wounded, but just not doing well. Black guillemot. Just grabbed a shot, and we were going to check him out as we walked back to see if he was still there, and he had moved on. So I don't know if he got out in the water and swam or what happened there. But some black turnstones. Again, just shooting some regular portraits with it were really cool. So that was neat. There's Emily again, playing with some silhouettes. And now once I got up into like light like this, it was totally fine, you know. Here you go, looking good. Just a standard, you know, Wimbrel on the beach shot, and it does great with this lens. So for its first outing, I was happy with it. Oh, and I shot this with it as well. Yeah, this Brewer's Blackbird, that was a lifer for me as well. And it came out great. And, you know, this is another great example of like when you get this low, even at f8, like that background just disappears. It really does. Like this doesn't look much different than any other lens, a big fast prime or anything like that would look on the beach. The only difference would be I would get a little bit more of a higher shutter speed or a lower ISO. So I do like the lens that it does a great job. It really does. So yeah, so here's us shooting. So this is, that was the morning shoot. Then we met up with everybody. Now, we met up with everybody early. The plan was to meet early on purpose. We knew it was going to be a clear day. I don't think there was any clouds, just going to be, just blasting sun coming right in until it got later in the evening. But we wanted some time to meet everybody since we hadn't met some of these people in person. And so we wanted to meet and get to know each other and hang out a little bit. But classic photographers, we all met up, we said hello, and everybody's like, let's go shoot. Like, we were just excited to get out and do some shooting and stuff like that. So we ended up out there shooting a little bit earlier than I think any of us would have chosen to do. And so I'm saying that because the light was harsh. It was strong. It was just direct, full sun, no clouds, and 2-ish hours before sunset, something like that, hour and 45 minutes before sunset. And so what do you do? And so my goal was to try to do backlit and silhouette stuff. That's what I was thinking. So I found this black turnstone down in the rocks, and you can see I put him backlit in there. He was in a little bit of shade from some other rocks, but still getting some light, and then just trying to work with that. The interesting thing that happened is, I don't think it was the same exact bird, but there was a few of them in there. They went low. I was shooting really dark, underexposed, like severely. You can see aperture priority, auto ISO with negative 1.67 here. And then I was playing here -3, silhouette of this Wimbrel up in the rocks like that. And then this happened. So -4 stops exposure compensation. I was shooting really, really dark because I was trying to rim light this guy against the black shaded rocks there, and just basically get like an outline of this bird and then some of this habitat. And then, excuse me, sorry guys, throat's just a little off. I've been recording a bunch of these today. Then this wave came in, and that was completely unexpected. And what was even more unexpected is usually I've seen turnstones and other shorebirds that work these shorelines like this. They're really good at kind of judging when these waves come in. And so I was blown away that he stayed put like that and didn't move. That was kind of shocking. And it was really neat. So I just fired away, with my whopping 6 frames a second. I think I was shooting Z6 III at this point. Yeah, Z6 III in the evening, because I wanted to see how that lens would do. Again, this is my second time shooting the 28-400, and I wanted to see how it would do with that camera as well. And with this much light, f8, ISO 200, 2,000th of a second, it's not a problem, right? Plenty of sharp detail. And in fact, you can see when I zoom in, everything is just tack sharp. That's in the focal plane, right? This stuff isn't tack sharp because it's either in front or behind. I don't know. I can't tell. But anyway, like, what a cool shot, right? Really dynamic. This just amazing. And he stayed there. Watch this. Look, he just got fully engulfed with that splashing wave and just stayed there and just kept going like nothing had happened. It was really, really cool. This is what it looked like straight out of camera. So I wanted to show you the exposure, what it looks like there. And then that was what I did with the final edit, just to pop the waves up, get the splashing foam to show a little bit more and stuff like that. So yeah, trying a silhouette of a Wimbrel, silhouette-ish, heavy side lighting there with the big waves coming in the background, that kind of stuff. This is a scenario where I would have loved to have tried slower shutter speed and let all of this big massive waves coming through like blur with a slower shutter speed, but I would have needed an ND filter to put on because it was so bright that even at the maximum aperture that I could do, which I think was f40 on this lens, I still wasn't getting the shutter speed slow enough to really show the amount of blur I would want, kind of thing. And then I had this other idea. So it's hard to see here, but this is pretty high up on a cliff here. So the ocean is down there pretty far. It's maybe, I don't know, 40 feet up, something like that. So not like, hundreds of feet up, but 40, 50 feet up. And a lot of these turnstones and some of these Brewer's blackbirds were walking around down there, working the surf. And I thought if I go up high with this strong sun coming in and shoot down, it might be a really interesting perspective. So Emily took that shot of me out there, and here's some of what I shot. Now, I didn't get any of the shots that I really want. I'd love to go back and try something like this again because I think there's so much potential, and I'd love to try it when the light is really low and golden and throw in like a super long shadow. Although I guess you don't want like a crazy long shadow because then they get so distorted, but a little bit longer shadow than this would be okay, I think. But my goal was really to show off the shadow of the bird mixed in with these foam lines. And this one's okay, but like his head isn't turned right, so you're not getting the full profile of the bill. Here's a much better shape, but now I'm not getting much of the foam there, you know? Like, so this is the shadow that I wanted, and even showing off the bird, but I wanted more of like this foam line coming in when they're working and kind of running in with that and stuff. The blackbird was really cool. It's really neat. You can see his footprints as he was walking. And so I shot this at 270 millimeter and then realized, hey, wouldn't it be kind of cool if I shot just the shadow? And so you'll see that in a little bit. But I was going back and forth between the turnstones and these blackbirds as they were walking around. But it is neat. You can see all these like bird footprints, you know, moving throughout the area. There's some of them there. But really paying attention to the shadows. I didn't care about the shape of the bird so much because from overhead, you're not seeing that much, but you see the shadow really good. But again, the light's so harsh and this is a little just busy, you know, so it's not quite there. Here's one where I was getting in a little bit tighter, so into 400 millimeter, just playing with some of this. But again, it's so bright there, it's just kind of distracting to me, but a good shape and shadow for the bird. And then I did start actually just actively cropping him off. I think the original capture has a little bit more of the bird, but I just kind of wanted to see just his feet like that and then the shadow of him. So this is one I'm happy with. And again, going warmer with the white balance than the original you could see there. Here's another one, but the shadow gets a little lost in the water there. So challenges there, but I think there's a lot of potential. And it was fun. It was really fun to be up shooting down. That lens was perfect for it because I could have a big range of flexibility, but the 1-400 would have done the trick as well as far as focal lengths, because it's not like you're going to go out to, you know, 50 millimeter or something. When you're that far away, the bird would be a speck. This one would have been really good if his shadow was showing better, but the foam was too much there, you know. Light's getting a little bit lower, but still super strong. And so I kind of wrapped up shooting up there. I should have stayed longer, actually. I think I didn't fully realize the potential up there. I knew it was an idea and I wanted to play with it, but I should have stayed longer. So anyway, I went back down, started shooting more standard shorebird shots, but trying to kind of incorporate dramatic lighting here, shooting backlit with this Dunlin. This guy was so friendly. He would walk right up to you. Here's my friend Caleb shooting out there, getting it done with that nice low perspective. And that giant old 600 millimeter, it's impressive he can manage that thing handheld. It's a big lens. Yeah, so here's front lit, but you know, like the foam makes it interesting enough. It's not the best light, but you know, I like it. Like this one is kind of fun with him getting engulfed in the foam. I always love that line of foam coming in. I really try to time birds with that. There's Emily over here. She ended up laying down, and I swear these shorebirds, her and shorebirds are like magic. They just are drawn to her. Here's like Wimbrel right here, just walking all around her. Another group of Wimbrel right there. And she's just like laying right in the surf with them. It's pretty cool. Black oyster catcher, a little bit of dramatic light there. This was the silhouette, that kind of rim light. This is what I was trying to do earlier when that wave crashed over the one, but that's the look I was going for. And you can see I did about the same, you know, -3 1/3 exposure compensation there. And I'm kind of like, I don't know what else you do with this light, you know? Like to me, it's just all about the dramatic lines and silhouettes and shapes and stuff like that. There's Jacques trying to shoot a black oyster catcher, getting nailed with some waves there. I did try and shoot this guy taking off just to see what it would do. Not bad. 6/40th of a second. So, you know, a little bit of a slow shutter speed, but the head's sharp and it works. Splashing waves, you know, with these oyster catchers. There was a bunch of opportunities that I think were so much potential that just you needed more time and the bird would move or something like that, you know. This Dunlin came in and was being really friendly. So at that point I realized if I stand up, this was just me standing on the beach, and now the beauty of this lens, right, down to 55 millimeter, or in this case, like this shot I love, 47 millimeter, just almost shooting like an aerial shot, and that's just me standing there. And so how cool to be able to do that and do this, like here's the wave, the water texture coming over the sand. There's Caleb shooting in. And then right after shooting this, lay back down, zoom to 400 millimeter, and do a standard portrait, like shorebird portrait of a black turnstone. What a versatile lens, it really is. And there you go. So now the light's starting to get good. We're starting to get some color in it, finally able to start getting some nice portraits. And that's when I really started concentrating on shooting front lit a little bit more. But I didn't give up on the backlight because that still had some really good potential. There's Caleb again working some really neat stuff over there. He got some amazing shots. Here's just another phone shot just showing what the sunset looked like behind the scenes. This is a little bit later than the photos I'm about to show you, but you could see, like, if I zoom way in, there was like some birds in there, and with the crashing waves, there's just a lot of potential for some fun stuff to be had at this location. Started playing with the oyster catchers with some silhouettes. This is one I really like. I love the sense of scale, and then the gradient you get with the sun there. And right within that 100 to 400 range, 170 millimeter for that. So there's straight out of camera, final edit. Big waves coming in, just the silhouettes are so easy there. The takeoff. Yeah, it's an amazing place. It was so much fun. Putting birds in the sun was kind of easy there. The lineup, as long as you had the bird in the right spot, the general right spot, you could move all around the rocks and get in there. We all had, I think me and Emily were wearing our wetsuit booties, so we could just kind of like walk right into the water, shallow, when it wasn't too crazy with waves and stuff like that. But yeah, it was really fun just trying to play with that. I played with some different zooms there. So there's 400 millimeter, and then go smaller with them just to make the sun a little bit smaller, I guess, and just play with some more scenery and stuff like that. Look at these waves. I mean, it's calm like that, then all of a sudden you get this massive crash out there. And then here, I think you can see, yeah, there's the final edit right there. Just a lot of flexibility in playing with the silhouettes and the shape and the dynamic nature of that habitat. It was really, really fun. Look at that, 79 millimeter, same bird, then just zoom into 400 millimeter and just completely change the look of it. Pretty wild. Some pelagic cormorants, I think. Got him right in the sun really easy. The stupid gull was kind of in the way, but it didn't take long. I was able to crop him out and then get some nice crashing waves along with that. Then he was getting ready to go. He took off shortly. Western gull, I think here, he was sitting actually on this rock. I'm not sure if you guys can see that, perched right on that rock. Huge wave came in, sent him flying. I just shot a series right through it, and then you get like these crazy waves with this bird flying over it and the sun back there. Yeah, it's crazy over there. It's so fun though. This makes me want to go back so bad. Like, there's just so much potential. This was one morning and one evening, and we managed to get all of this, Sun got low enough, I actually was able to expose it. If I show you guys this straight out of camera, it should be pretty interesting. There you go. Like, really dark there. And then you can bring it back and get a little bit of color in that sun. So it works. Yep, just playing again with more interesting compositions there. That's it, right? So I'm shooting this guy here like this. I'm just like, oh, this is nice and pretty. And then I shot him regular, and then I switched to a setting to get that slow shutter speed. And then this wave hit like that. I was not expecting that, and I couldn't believe it when it happened. I just fired off, I think I fired 3 frames. I kept 2 of them, yeah, so I kept these 2. The rest of them were just not as interesting, but like, how freaking cool. How cool. 140 millimeter. The bird stands out like crazy, just massive wave, and like so very different than this shot. Like the colors even shift because, oh, this one was zoomed in a little bit tighter. So I went wider to show this, like a little bit more of the sky and the waves, because as soon as I'm incorporating the slower shutter speed for the waves crashing, I wanted to show more of it. And this one was a little bit tighter. So that was the thinking there. And just what a difference in a regular shutter speed and then slow shutter speed and getting lucky. Now, this would have been cool probably with the wave splashing with a high shutter speed, but it wouldn't have shown as much movement to me, So anyway, love this shot. It's one of my favorites of the night. Then got some more tighter shots of him with the waves splashing in there and just some slow shutter stuff. And then wrapped up with just a Wimbrel portrait right at the end of the night, down to 40th of a second. And that was just because it got really dark, once that sun got low, and just playing with some silhouette stuff there as well. So that was that trip. Really, really fun habitat. Like I said, it's just, I don't know what else to say about it. It was just an awesome time. I hope you guys enjoyed tagging along with me on this one. Kept it a little bit shorter, down to 24 minutes. I like to talk and share these photos, guys. As always, let me know in the comments what you think, and let me know if there's any of these destinations or outings that I've done in the past that you'd like to see me do one of these on in a future episode. Thanks so much again for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it.